I can't hear you. You're muted.
Welcome back to Primetime Studios. Like always, I'm your host, Primetime Phil. Okay, we're not. You guys aren't losing it. It's just me. I have to do something for old time's sakes. But like always, my co-host, GameTime Bryan. GameTime, what's going on, man?
Dude, you were scaring the living crap out of me. You were like,
Yeah, my system is doing this weird thing. I'm trying to catch up with
I
settings.
It's
like,
all good.
I'm
man.
like,
it's all good.
uh,
Eric Montoya, what up? I'm doing good, man. Me and you've been going at it all year, like twice a week, and doing it once, man. I am gonna say I am missing everybody, especially you, my man. I miss doing it. It is what it is. But we're gonna have a hell of a show, man. I'm ready to talk some Cowboys.
Again, each week I'm going, okay, I think we covered everything, and then by the next day it's obsolete because we're right back into the news with different people. I made this thumbnail that had Gilmore because obviously it was a trade, and then some re-signings, and then the Zeke stuff happens, and then, there's just news every single day, and it's different from previous off seasons. I at least like that we're that we're not just getting frustrated. You may not agree with all the re-signings, but I think it's been pretty good. What do you think? Have you been happy with the activity?
Yeah, I'm happy with the activity. There's certain things I want to get. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm definitely happy with the activity.
And
definitely,
the chat
man.
is all about it. It is St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day. I don't have.
I was wondering if you were gonna wear green. I didn't wear anything.
I wasn't even thinking that it was gonna fall in that day, so I think it's really funny. But I'm just looking over here. Yeah, new setup here, Mike. But how have you guys been following it? I mean, the whole thing that I was going to talk about, of course, the first thing was, what were we talking about going into the off season? The season of number twos, obviously you're shooting for number ones, guys that could start, but you want them to complement your starters, whether it's a wide receiver or a cornerback, and then they go out and they get Stephon Gilmore for a 5th round draft pick. What do you think about that move?
I love the move. I wouldn't be surprised if they would extend him. Why not?
Yeah.
You've invested a 5th round draft pick. Why not sign him up for another year? Maybe throw a void year in there. Add some more money, lessen the cap. Love the move, man.
I love it too.
If anybody watches him, if anybody watches Stephon Gilmore, he's the ultimate professional.
Very smart guy.
There is no weak spot now. Yeah. There's no weak spot.
There's some times where I've seen him, just like Trayvon Diggs, I think, where he'll get faked out in some of those moves because he's aggressive. He wants to go for the interception. He had an interception last year against us, but even within that Indianapolis Colts defense that was very sour, he was a shining star, a little fish in a big pond within the NFL. But then when you go to a place like that, Indianapolis, you were just a little pond and you were a huge fish. So it's like. I'm glad that we got a talent like that because we were talking. We need somebody to complement Diggs, and now you figure out the secondary, man. We talk about the secondary where we hooked up a lot of the safeties. Of course, the 3-headed monster. We secured that, and then we secured some spots. Knowing that Diggs, Stephon Gilmore, and then Bland in your nickel. So
now you're not locked into having to take a corner in the first round.
But
this is what I want to do. I want to get a receiver. I hope we don't drag it out past the draft. Let's get whoever it is. We could talk about all the names. We're well aware of all the names. I'll be honest. The closer I get, the less I want to give up draft picks, just because of
we've been able to strike gold. I totally get you. As I go to the chat, Twiz is in there. Mike Aldana, Alana Walker, Angelica, Rhonda, Eric Montoya, Loyal Cowboy, IROC, Gina Davis. I appreciate you guys coming through.
Gina Dallas Diva.
Oh,
I'm talking about Gina Davis.
Yeah, Gina Davis.
Gina Davis is in the house.
Sorry. Getting excited, but going into this week, I wasn't expecting too much. I mean, you weren't hearing Stephon Gilmore's name, and I think this is kind of where the Cowboys have always kind of shown their history. Like, whoever you're talking about, yeah, that ain't going to happen. But the people over here that nobody's even thinking about, that's usually the move that the Cowboys make. I mean, we all know that they're not going to go out and, trade off their first-round draft pick for, just like you they want to keep that draft capital. I mean, they've been able to strike gold on those number one draft picks. It's just that second round, and so that's where I'm okay with trading off that second, because you don't have the greatest history when it comes to that. And if you could get a valued pick, somebody that's proven in the NFL, I would be okay with that. What about you?
Yeah, I don't want Jerry Jeudy, so. It's not that I don't want him, but I'm not giving a 1 for Jerry Jeudy to have him for 1 year to have to turn around and sign him long term or lose him.
Yeah, and you're going to be right there at the same time as CeeDee Lamb.
Extending a guy that you don't necessarily know that you like.
Well, and you got to spend that resources for CeeDee Lamb. I think I don't think he's proven enough to me. I mean, I want somebody on the offensive line. Give me an all-pro offensive lineman that's in the round. I keep saying it.
I want to ask everybody. Now, I know Rhonda, I love you, right?
Sorry, D.
I think we maybe jumped the gun, and we're not going to rescind the tag. We would never do that because that would be horrible for Tony Pollard to tag him and then rescind it.
I don't know, with these contracts.
See what these running backs are getting, Phil, 10.1 mil for 1 year is a lot. You see what these guys are getting. They ain't getting that much. It's almost like the owners got together and said, yo, we're going to slow down the spending on non-quarterbacks. You know what I mean? So I'm a little annoyed that we just jumped to franchise him. Yeah. They need to make a decision, Phil. If this guy's going to be a part of our team, and I'm okay with him being a part of the team. He's a weapon. He'll never be what Zeke was.
True.
As far as running the ball. Zeke averaged over 220 carries a year. That'll never happen with Pollard. But that's fine because he goes out, he goes in motion, he's a receiver.
I think a lot of people try to talk about. I think that's really in the conversation right now. How people are talking
sign
about
him to a 3-year deal.
The amount of carries, the amount of carries that Zeke has had within his contract time. How many he already had about 1,000 touches. So when you talk about the running back's lifespan, it wasn't a good thing. And I mean, it wasn't only that he was getting all these touches. He was getting hit a lot more than like a DeMarco Murray. And DeMarco Murray ran into the ground. And it's kind of the same thing. I mean, of course, I want to see Zeke. I think anybody that's a true fan of the Cowboys and they've been a fan of Zeke, they want to see him have success. But obviously, we don't want you to have success against us. And but you're going to have that. There's so many arguments about to support the release. I mean, when people talking about the fact that he hasn't scored a touchdown from outside of the red zone since 2019, that's a big thing. I mean, that Tony Pollard, did Tony Pollard not do something like that within a span of 2 or 3 games? Because he was always breaking long runs. So I think the injury is obviously what you have to be concerned with. I'm with you, Brian, when you talk about just being you're just too trigger happy to put this franchise tag on, and now it's like you don't want to.
I would hope that at this point, let's just try and sign him. Hopefully, Pollard looks at the landscape and sees no running backs are getting a lot of money.
Yeah, it'll be worse next year.
Maybe sign a 3-year deal. We could add a voidable year, which is the new thing, and we'll get into OBJ. That I think we should do the same thing towards. But yeah. And just lower the number a bit because I want to get my guys locked up. I want to get CD locked up. I want to get Diggs locked up. And we'll get into the names. I have a habit of jumping ahead, but I'm a little. I would hope that I don't care. I don't even care. If Bijan drops to us at 26 and we draft Bijan, you're still going to need a Tony Pollard. You know what I mean? You're still going to need him. So why not, now that you tagged them, work on a 3-4 year deal? Mm-hmm. Nothing crazy. Lower that cap number, and I think that would be the best for both parties. But I'm very happy so far, man. I'm very surprised that on day 2 of free agency, we were able to do what we've done. Now,
okay,
we only brought back our guys, but that's fine.
But those are guys that we need to bring. I think the only one that I'm kind of on the fence with, I could even steer towards C.J. Goodwin, was Cooper Rush. That's just something to me. I just can't.
Did you see that deal? That was so cheap.
Yeah,
2 years for $6 million. And that's if he hits all the incentives, right?
Yeah.
Or is it the opposite?
It was
$6 million.
Well, even the LVE signing, it was it's 2 years, $11 million. It's really like 2 years, $8 million with these incentives. I like the incentive thing. When you look at Tyron Smith's contract, this is exactly the type of stuff that we need to secure. I mean, they had him sign. He has a base salary, and then they're chunking on like after 50%, it's like 55%. You get an extra $1 million. If you're 60% of this, so it goes up and it rewards him. But I mean, we obviously benefit from him being active and being in the lineup. So why doesn't he? I like the incentive to. Well, it should benefit you to be the same way. So I mean, but I don't think it was ever a choice for him to be injured. So it kind of throws it up in the air. I guess just the insurance factor. I like that.
Yeah.
But what do you think about Cooper Rush? Do you like the fact that he's back?
I'm over the cap right now, and right now we're sitting, and this is not including Zeke. Everybody's got to understand.
Yeah, because that's later on. Yeah.
After June 1st, we get all that money for Zeke. We get the cap relief, which is what, over 10 mil? Is that what it is? Over 10
about
million?
10 point something. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now we're sitting at a 21,338,911. But you guys get the point. We got a lot of money, and that's before. Zeke Elliott, which is another over 10 mil, and that's before what we're going to do with Gilmore. I think there's a chance we're going to restructure, right? or sign him, lower that number.
Yeah.
Jordan Lewis, he's already talking that he's not going to be ready for training camp. He was already a candidate. I don't want to do this to the guy, but maybe tell him that we're going to release you, but not now.
They also have the insurance, kind of like the whole Blake Jarwin thing, where Blake kind of walked away, and then he still got paid, but they got wiped off the cap. I think.
Like an injury settlement type of deal.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't want to kick the guy to the curb because right now he's getting help with our medical staff, but that might be a guy that we might release, and that'll save you another $5 million. And,
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with that.
You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be mean, but this is just business.
Well, I mean, look, right now, what's going on with Schultz? Nobody's really jumping on the Schultz. So do you think they'll end up bringing him back for a cheap deal? Because of
Isn't that crazy? Schultz is getting no love, not even by New England, who, remember when we played the Patriots? They were like, oh, the one guy we got to stop is Dalton Schultz. That's the one that, he didn't say Zeke, he didn't say CD, but yet they went out today and signed Mike Gesicki, and they didn't. I was surprised. I thought he would end up in New England.
Man, those guys.
I'm Dalton Schultz, I'm a little looking around saying, well, the draft is loaded with tight ends. Am I getting squeezed out here?
He might be in Los Angeles.
Why would we bring him back?
I was thinking maybe the Chargers, but I mean, you got the Las Vegas. Las Vegas just lost their tight end, so that might be a spot for him as well. I mean, so there's definitely some room, but I think his contract, in his head is, you can never really read him, but and it's been inflated. I mean, he obviously thinks he can go out there and get a big contract. I think that we were on the same page when we were talking about Tony Pollard. I love Tony, but what would have happened if he would have tested the market? Where would he have gone? Some of these guys that were signed, would they have taken the chance on Tony after that injury and that he's going to have to come back? His surgery wasn't even for the broken bone; it was for the ankle. So a lot to be desired there. I think I'm interested to see if they do get a long-term deal. I'm hoping more of a 3-year deal. Use it, just use them. I don't want to pay.
Yeah, well, that's funny that you said that because Jack Maker just said, honestly, the entire market has been soft. It's almost like, I don't know, am I alone in this thinking that the owners got together and said, other than the quarterbacks, because that's, just remember, the cap goes up. I get it. But it seems like the only players that are getting that money are receivers and quarterbacks.
See, right now,
nobody else is getting the money.
Yeah, right now, I think. with what you have, you can go out and solidify your defense with one more piece, like a Bobby Wagner. Sign him for a good contract in there, and then because I'm not again, I haven't been on the big OBJ type of thing, but he really is not going to be ready until camp time, and that's where there's a lot of reason why there's nobody jumping on him. There's not going to be a lot of people with
he ain't
cash
getting 20
available.
million people,
and so that means once we get the 10 million,
he ain't getting 20.
Yeah, once we get the 10 million, we're going to have plenty enough to be able to sign him for like the 12 to 13, maybe 15 if they're really pushing it. But
maybe
there's that time later.
The guarantees, Phil.
Yeah,
maybe a 3-year deal, 36 million, but like maybe 24, 25 guaranteed type of deal.
Yeah, so I can see that.
And then you can stretch it out. Nobody's saying that we're not going to pay your money, OBJ, but maybe we stretch it out a year or two beyond that for the cap relief. But yeah, he ain't getting 20. Nobody's paying him 20. So
no, I definitely,
he can try all he wants.
No, I definitely agree. And so again, the end of an era starts with Zeke. I talked on Twitter. It's kind of like you had that feeling like, okay, this is at the end of the relationship, and it should end, and you don't want it to because we have such great memories, and I love you being around, but it's so bad. You need a new start. I need a new start. So we got to end this, and that's kind of where the whole Zeke thing happened. We need some fresh legs, and I'm not in the I'm not a big fan when it comes to giving a running back a second contract, and I don't mean that they don't deserve it. Yeah, I mean those guys get banged up like crazy, but again, the NFL to me is not like it used to be where you would put it all on one person and then you would ride them. Like now it's shared. It's a committee by running back, and again, I'm not trying to say there's not guys out there that are special and that can break tackles and juke and everything, but then again, if you have an offensive line that you're spending those draft picks on, I think. That whole time with DeMarco Murray transitioning into Darren McFadden, I think that proved that, hey, you build that line, the running game will come with it. What we got going in the chat?
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat.
Jack says the linebacker market has been lowered to $6 million as the ceiling. The Wagner wants like $8 a year, so it might be wait until he comes down. I mean,
I think of Wagner like I thought of last year. When we went out and got help me out, Phil.
Anthony Barr.
The guy we got from the Vikings.
Anthony Barr.
Anthony Barr. Yeah, like I think that he's going to be. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if there's already a verbal agreement. Wait for that Zeke, money to clear, and bring him in. The more bodies, the better. So.
Yeah, I'm right now. It's like when we're looking, it's like I say the reason why to spend it on the defensive side is because right now that's what it looks like they're doing. It looks like they're kind of solidifying that defense. Maybe you put another linebacker in there, like we're talking about, and then go heavy with offense in the draft. I think that's kind of is that what it is? Are we going to get him young weapons, fresh legs? The receiver part, I want to, if you're going to go very low in the draft. To get a guy for a wide receiver, I want the star. I don't want these project guys. We already have Fehoko. We already have Tolbert in the lineup. We don't need a third guy kind of going, okay, what's he going to be? I have an
idea, Phil.
Go ahead, give it to me.
I want to ask you what you would think of this. I've been doing some mocks on my own here. What do you think about trading up as long as the Titans don't take him 11? Because I'm thinking that's where Jackson Smith the receiver from
I know what you're talking about.
Ohio State.
Yeah. Smith
Najibba. Yeah. I think he is the number one
He's an amazing
receiver in the draft.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if you trade up to 14 and just give up your one next year, obviously 26 and then next year's one. To me, if you want to go young, that's what you do. You go after him. And don't give up any more draft capital this year. You would give up the one next year. If not, then I would make a play for Diggs in the draft. He's the only guy I would give up a number one pick for.
Yeah, but when you're going about like that, I mean, do you not? Since you're talking about you would take your first and you would use next year's first to get up higher. So by that point, why don't you just trade? Why don't you just trade your first and your first for next year for a guy like Hopkins. I mean,
well, you wouldn't have to. Hopkins, you could probably get for your third-round pick.
Yeah, I mean,
likely,
I'm saying,
from what I'm
thinking more of a star kind of thing. You could probably go out there and find a star that somebody would give you.
But I mean, the young guy, if you remember when the Cowboys identified OBJ in the draft, they really wanted him, but he went right before them. They were trying to desperately trade up. I'm not saying I am. I'm saying if the Cowboys and their Will McClay identify this guy as he's that good, then go get him. That's what it would take. You would have to give up next year's one. If that guy, I don't know that he's that guy, but I'm not Will McClay. I don't spend my whole life looking at tape and looking at prospects.
There's some guys. I think there's some guys later on.
Young, that would be the only guy that I would want to trade up for. Other than that, I'm sitting and picking. You're sticking and picking.
I want my offensive lineman. I want the non-sexy picks.
Or I'm trading down, which is what I really want to do because I love those second, third, and fourth round guys.
So Rhonda wants to know, how come I feel like Zeke will be back? I would not doubt that either, man. I would not doubt that.
The only way Zeke will come back is if we suffer an injury and he's on the market. He's out there. And he's not playing with anybody, which I don't think that'll be the case. Look for him to go to San Diego.
Tampa Bay.
Once the Eckler situation works its way out. I'm hearing Tampa, but I think more San Diego, but possibly Tampa. He'll probably be on a squad. And it sucks that we had to get rid of him. But I told Mark this a couple weeks ago. They're going to do this as opposed to lowballing him because they're going to draft somebody. They're going to have Pollard. You still got Davis.
Yeah, and Davis just got.
You're not going to bring him in here. What would you pay Zeke? 600. The veteran minimum. That's not right to offer him that.
If he's sitting on the couch at home, I mean. I don't know. Okay, enough of the insulting part of it. But I do like where the defense is going. Again, the secondary was always my concern last year. Now you're going to have, I think with that type of secondary that we've been talking about, hey, man, now you're going to have the ability to possibly get coverage sacks, which is something that, hey, you added another weapon to this defense. And as long as you can get, again, the defensive tackle is kind of what we're sitting on. I mean, we're only as strong as our weakest link. And right now, the weakest link is not that. We don't have Hankins there. We didn't bring him back. So, I mean, we're not going to rely on Neville Gallimore. And I like Osa, but, we need something there. And, I mean, obviously there's some guys in this draft. But is there anybody that stands out to you that it just, is a guy like Carter going to slip down the board?
Look at Rhonda, man. Primetime Phil's a superstar. She loves you, man.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Me and her were tight, but she's all into you. That's all right.
I don't even see that word.
Well, see, sometimes you like chocolate, sometimes you like strawberry, sometimes you like vanilla. It's all good. Iceberg Slim, what up, man? Welcome to the show. Bijan will be a Dallas Cowboy. Well, I'm on record as saying we need to fill our holes. We got to go out and get a wide receiver before the draft, okay? We need to get somebody. I'm not telling you who, but just go get somebody. That way, if he slips, you have to take Bijan Robinson at 26. You have to. There's nobody going to be on the board at 26 that's going to have a higher grade. So, that's the deal. So, that's my opinion. I'm sticking with it.
I'm very on the fence when it comes to the running back situation. I like there's a lot of guys, just like the tight ends. I think there's a lot of tight ends, so that's why I'm not for bringing a guy like Schultz back. I love what we have already there in the locker room. The running back situation, I think you can find somebody within this draft to run beside Pollard and still have Malik Davis as that third option. But if I'm with you, man. If you attack wide receiver, like what we were talking about when we did the mock drafts a couple of weeks ago, it's a whole different mindset now. When you get somebody like a Gilmore behind, I even feel relaxed as a fan about, okay, if there's a guy that slips down the draft like a Joey Porter Jr., you're not going to give that up. You're going to go for a guy like that. But now you have the ability to not have to start him right away, and you can kind of bring him up. So I love the move. I'm interested to see what number he ends up wearing. Is it going to be, can't be 5, right?
5 probably, right?
Wasn't that our punter?
5?
Isn't it punter?
Punter?
Yeah. I want to say it's
punter. We can work that out.
Yeah. But what was he? He was also 24, I think, and that was
McQuamo? It might be too soon.
Yeah, it might be. Listen to you. Listen to you.
We gotta wait till we cut him. No, listen. He ain't gonna be ready.
Thank you, Blue.
Camp. So we owe nothing. It is what it is, man. Jojo, what up? How are you?
So, as we, we're looking at this offense, the possibilities, what we can do. Do you think that's what's going to happen? The strategy, you're going all defense. Do you think they're going to go pure offense? Or you think in that draft?
No, I don't.
No? Like we went defense a couple years ago.
Like Michael Dana is talking about. Let's just say that we lock up a receiver before the draft. Well, we're not taking a receiver. Okay, we're not taking a corner. The only way we would take a corner is if, like, and he's not going to, but if like a Joey Porter Jr. or Gonzalez slid down to 26. Other than that, none of the other corners you have to have at 26.
Yeah, you can pick somebody at 58. I'm pretty sure.
Don't.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not in on a Kincaid. He doesn't block. He's a weapon, but he's gonna play as a rookie at the age of 25. So,
So let me ask you a question. Here's something when we're talking about the draft and everything. With Tyrell Smith coming back, obviously, the reworking of the contract, Tyler Smith going to be the guard. You got Biotish there. Then you got, of course, the all-pro Zach Martin. And then, of course, you got Steele coming back. Obviously we don't know for sure until somebody signs, we offer him this or whatever. But when you look at that, do you think on 26 that the offensive line is not an option now?
I like offensive linemen in the second round. I would go with a tackle. I really would. But if that tackle out of Syracuse, Bergeron, is there, which every mock I've done, he'll be there in the second round. He is a stud. You can play him at guard, but he's a beast. I would go best player available round 1. I would even think if there's nobody I have to have. Other than if Bijan drops, I think you got to take him. That's the one guy that.
Well, I think that's what you put yourself in a position at 26.
Anybody else, I would drop down. I would try and trade out of there.
Mm-hmm.
You get another, third round pick. You know what I mean? Get like a pick in the 30s, and then get a third. And then load up, man. Maybe come back with a Jahmyr Gibbs if you trade out. There's some guys that I really like in this draft. Like some linebackers that I like. We can get in the 4th round, 5th round. We need to come out with a tight end. A running back.
Yeah, and that's what I just don't think Gibbs is going to be there at 58. That's the only problem.
No,
I don't think he's worth.
Trade down,
I don't. Yeah, if you trade back, I definitely like that because we had IROC talking about it. I love Gibbs. Twiz wants to know, was Gilly our big move? I hope not, but you know what? I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it if it was. They're like, wasn't that amazing? You're just like, oh, okay, yeah, no, it is good. I'm not disappointed. It's just, is that it? Like, it's
yeah, right.
I wouldn't doubt if that's what it was. Great left tackle, yes. But again, I think we're putting ourselves into position to. We don't have to draft for need. We can take best player available. There's somebody to me. I feel like there's somebody going to drop. We're at a position there that a good person that's right there.
Cansey's going to drop.
You think so? The defense, and I would be okay with that. I would love that pick at 26.
All right. I don't think Bijan is going to drop that low, but if Cansey is there, let's say Cansey's there.
Okay.
And let's say I like Meyer.
From
Notre Dame, the tight end, but
Michael Mayer.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of tight ends in this draft, so it's like if Cansey's there, do you think they would take him? He's 6 foot, short arms, unbelievable speed. Power.
They don't like the short arm guys, but it's hard not to. I mean, again, you need somebody there. What do you think's going to happen with this Carter guy? Do you think with his workout and all the stuff that's happened, you think he'll drop and he might be somebody there? Because I mean, people are not.
He's a guy New England would take, but I don't think he's going in the first round. So, I think he might be around in the second round, probably before we pick.
Just because people want to give him crap about the bad pro day, but I mean, hey man, you had a friend die and all the stuff that's been happening, the stress and everything. So I mean, I give him a pass when it comes to that, but obviously not a pass for what happened. What he was involved in.
I think he'll be there at 32. By the way, he wants Gibbs being for the Eagles.
Oh, I definitely think so. That would be a hell of a pickup for them.
I think the Eagles are going to trade one of their picks, Twiz. I'm sorry to tell you, man. They need young. They only have 5 picks in this draft. I think they're going to take the best corner on the board with their first pick, and then I think they probably trade out of 30 for a team. If they have a trade partner, and then I think they get a couple more picks. That's my opinion, but yeah, that would be a good pick.
So yes, when we're talking about re-signing and everything, the whole Donovan Wilson contract, 3 years worth up to $24 million. Do you think that was a little rich? Do you like where that's at? How do you feel about the contract?
That's good, man. He doesn't get hurt. He's very reliable, and you need that physical presence. I'm all for. Obviously, hopefully we address the wide receiver position now, whether it's a trade or free agency. Draft another one later in the draft, not early, later in the draft, and then we're good there. I'm all for, obviously getting a running back and an offensive tackle, and then everything else just go to defense. Just make our defense unbelievable. There's some great defensive guys in this draft in the later rounds, linebackers, D linemen. So I'm excited, man, and we're gonna be there. So we'll be right there, bringing it everything.
Yes, I'm excited about the future. Again, last year I got excited because the younger guys are coming in. I do like the moves, the guys they have re-signed. I'm not been crazy about some of the numbers, but they've been really good about the negotiating itself. They were opening up a lot of money just recently, so it makes Cowboy people feel like there's something is coming. The fact that they are inquiring about guys like Judy, even if it's nothing, at least we're doing our due diligence. The fact that they haven't tried anything for Hopkins, I think that one's kind of a little bit up in the air. But maybe it's the contract. Let's see. Hey, what's the worst they're going to say? No. I mean, Hopkins, will you take less money to play for us? I mean, what's the worst they're going to say?
Man,
no.
He wants to play here, that's for sure.
And it's just like, just do it. I mean, do your due diligence, and since you love doing that, and that's the main priority for you guys, to just go out there, at least figure out a number, see if it's worth it. And, just something. I don't know. Just, you're poking it with a stick, and you're like, but if he goes out and he makes a move, does he shed the Catboy, the name Cowboy, you think?
Yeah, I like exactly what you're talking about, man. That's what I want to do, man. Will they do that? Probably not.
No.
I think their big move is what they just did, but
Iceberg Slim. Dalton Kincaid is the sleeper.
Slim.
Why? Because he can line up in the slot, wide out in the backfield. He's not as great of a blocker. I think that's you're kind of trading him for Schultz, and you're right. You're right on the money when it comes to that.
Cheaper.
But it's cheaper, exactly. I mean, you're definitely going to be on a cheaper deal. He's going to be younger, fresher legs, and the sky's the limit when it comes to it. I mean, if you're teaching him right off the bat how to block, what happened to Schultz? Schultz had already been in the league for how many years? We kind of had that reputation that Schultz wasn't a great blocker.
What up, East Side?
And then all of a sudden, the threat of having two guys that could block within that tight end group, that kind of made him start blocking as well. So yeah, if you brought a guy like Dalton Kincaid in here, that he could learn to start blocking within this thing. But yeah, you can pull him out, go ahead and put him in the slot. So I mean, that would add to a wide receiver room that's lacking in some fields, and you're hoping that a guy like Gallup is going to be able to make a step forward compared to last year. They were just relying too much on the fact that Gallup was just going to come back and just be fine, but that wasn't the case. So there's a lot of young guys in this draft. I think we can definitely go there. I like a guy like Michael Wilson. He's kind of a sleeper as well. He's a big dude, can catch balls downfield. Uses, I like him a lot there too. So I mean, there's guys there. I think in the front part of the draft though, you got a lot of guys that are shorter, and I just don't see him going that way. What about you? Even you got a guy like Turpin already. Do you see him going for a short wide receiver? Would there be a receiver
the
that's
one
short?
guy on the board that if he's there at 26,
East side.
I don't know that they would take him, but it would be tough not to. Zay Flowers, he's very explosive, but he's a smaller guy. It would be interesting to see if they don't go out and make a move for a receiver. Do you take a Zay Flowers? I mean, he's better than the guy out of Tennessee.
I think he would work well within the West Coast. You're talking about Jalen Hyatt?
Hyatt. Hyatt is faster, but Zay Flowers is just a polished receiver. It kind of reminds me of the dude that the Ravens drafted and they traded to Arizona a couple years back.
Antoine Bolton? Hold on.
No. Billy Brown or.
Oh, okay. No, that's it.
Yeah. But yeah. Hey, Stacy, how are you?
But no, I mean, there's a lot of moves, a lot of rumors. Of course, everybody that just hits the market, the Cowboys are definitely interested, and everybody kind of making up that, and everybody kind of follows that. So there's so many stories. Everybody links themselves. I think just to get everybody hyped up about them to try to get him that contract, and then when they sign with another team, of course everybody's disappointed. But it's amazing how think about it. If they don't put that Stephon Gilmore trade in there, how do you feel about these re-signings? We're only going after our own guys like last year, and we really, like you said, we haven't signed anybody new. Yeah,
that's what we do, Phil. We go after our own guys. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Ty is actually still on the market. He has not been picked up, so he is not on the team. But again, that would be a nice thing to pick up if you haven't found anybody by the time your camp comes around. Which, honestly, with what you're filling in and doing everything, if you haven't found a receiver by that point, I would. There's a lot of frustration there in a sense, because obviously we've had this problem when it comes to the previous years. Oh, what happens if Tyron Smith goes down? Oh no, that's not going to happen. And then it happens, and you're like, oh no, we're going to put Tyler Smith out there, and yeah, it's just. I like that they're preparing. I feel like they're preparing. We'll see if they follow through. But do you see them even taking a young quarterback, or do you see that now off the table because of Rush and, of course, Greer in the background? Nope. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I would absolutely take one. I wouldn't take one early. I would look to get either an Aiden O'Connell out of Purdue, like we talked about, or I even like the Houston quarterback. What's it, Clayton Thune or Tune? I like his size and arm and everything. If not, we could always get Max Duggan as a free agent out of TCU. Just get somebody to groom,
Well, you look at some of the guys that we have brought in here, like remember Mike White? He kind of did his parade around the NFL where teams were like, what is Dallas doing getting rid of this? Now he just got signed by somebody. I'm just trying to remember. I think it was the Florida team. And I was like, okay, he's still making his rounds. Again, we've talked about this in the sense that Mike McCarthy loves to draft those quarterbacks, have them kind of like learn behind him, and then that be a trade value kind of thing. And I'm okay with that. It's just now, do you kind of like, obviously with what you gave Cooper Rush, the person that would be out the door would most likely be Greer, right?
Will Greer, yeah. Exactly. I think they're going to go with, see, that's the thing, because you brought back Rush. So are they going to take a quarterback? That was so cheap that you can't help but bring back Rush, but, I didn't think they were going to bring back Rush. I thought they were going to go Greer number 2.
I didn't know what the rush was.
Now it's kind of sketch whether, they would have to take a 4th, which they've done that before, and just stick him on the practice squad. That's all you do.
So Brooklyn Joe says when teams cut to 53, we will pick up the leftovers. Yep. That's just our way. You're just like, don't touch that, Jerry. That's in the trash. Jerry, don't touch that. Well, it's we could use it. It's a nice receiver. It's like, no, man, he's old and stuff. Leave it in the trash. Just leave the trash. Just don't put that in your mouth. Don't put that in your mouth. You gotta tell Jerry, man. Jerry is to that point where he's like, he's getting those moments where you're just hoping that he's not like the Raiders where, hey, man, I like his speed. I like his teeth. He has really nice teeth, so I'm going to draft him in the first round. It's like, golly, good thing we have Will McClay, man. But I this is that time of year where I get excited about the people that he brings in because he has shown that even some of these guys like a Fowler and what was it, Anthony Barr? I mean, Anthony Barr wasn't the greatest thing, but he did play a role. And I think when you can find talent like that and still bring him in and let Dan Quinn and hopefully Brian Schottenheimer can use these guys. And I like the fact that Quinn and Schottenheimer have coached together and stuff. So I'm excited about what that offense is going to look like.
There's a guy I've been looking at. There's actually two guys, but Dorian Williams.
That's Miami.
At Tulane, he's a linebacker.
Tulane.
Dude is all over the field, man. He's so impressive. And there's another linebacker, Cam Jones, out of Indiana. Mm-hmm. I really like. Look for those two guys. One of those guys to be on a squad. Even if we get a Bobby Wagner, you need linebackers. We're gonna know about Jabril Cox. We're gonna know if he's gonna be for real or if he's not going to be for real. This is the year.
I think this is the year, too.
Kelvin Joseph. This is it.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think you're right on the money when it comes to Kelvin Joseph as well. I mean, just, either you dump it and just, wipe your hands clean of it. If he goes and be a star somewhere else, then congratulations for him. But, don't... we've seen that, we've all gotten frustrated with his, whether it's off the field or on the field. There's so much frustration when it comes to him. It's just bad choices, I think, is definitely, associated with his name. And so, there's just some guys that, like a Morris Claiborne. I mean, he leaves here. He definitely has a better, I wouldn't say better NFL career, but he needed that really fresh start. We needed that as well. So I think we're almost there, kind of like that whole Tristan Hill where we're just like, dude, why is he still on the roster? Noah Brown, that whole thing. Oh, my God. Noah Brown, there's people showing a picture, and they shows, Gallup, and they obviously they show Wilson, they show Lamb, and you had some, your receiver Cooper, and then they're just marking it off and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, you know what? The whole Brown thing should have been 3 or 4 years ago. That shouldn't even have lasted that long. It's just the frustration of not filling that role, just a lot like the safeties. We didn't have any safeties, nothing to get excited about. Now we have 3 of them with a possible 4th one. I'm sorry, but I love Bell. I love him learning from these guys. So I'm excited about what he has the possibility of doing. It's just, are we going to be able to see him on the field other than preseason?
Probably not.
Glimmer says Wagner not coming.
I like him too, though. I like him big time. I do.
So will Ball. Yeah, I think. I don't get too excited about Wagner. I love the possibility. If you haven't done anything now, I don't know if they're waiting for the value to come down. Go out there and see what you can get, and if you can't get that, then this is what we're offering. I'm hoping something like that has been done. So I mean, how long before Bobby Wagner was signed last year? I mean, we were kind of on the same thing. I mean, was he early? Was he first? I'm trying to remember. Or was he out there in the market for a while?
He was, who?
Bobby Wagner. Last year. When Bobby Wagner was out on the market, was he gone early, or did it last a couple of weeks?
He was gone, the early week 2.
Okay.
Week 1, it was early week 2. Remember, they kept saying, we might be getting Bobby. And then he didn't go with us, so.
Border Rock, what's going on,
What's up, man?
It's a long time.
Yeah, long time no hear. He's in a group text with me, Mark, and Randy. My man is silent.
Glimmerman says, it's time for a new young wide receiver corps. Get about 5 of them and see what happens. I'm not against that either, man. You're bound to hit one.
Well, There's a guy, man. I keep drafting him in my mocks. I don't know about you. At a Fresno State, that Jalen Moreno Cropper. He's like, dude, his size. He's like 6'4". But every time he's always there in the 5th round for me out of Fresno, and he's, I keep getting an A+ every time I draft him. Like the dude's got a lot of skill.
I worry sometimes about PFF's grades. Sometimes, some of the stuff that you're like,
I know. I'm looking at it now. I just did one while you were talking. I got Cansey in the first. I got Matthew Bergeron in the second. Dorian Williams in the third. You know who I like? I like that Zach Kuntz, tight end out of Old Dominion.
I thought you were
there's a lot of tight ends, man.
I thought you were going to talk about the running back at UCLA. I was like, I don't like him. I don't like that running back.
Well, you know what his problem is? He's got a lot
Troy
of carries on his
I was like, he's Troy Hambrick. He's just a big dude that's slow as shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of him, but a lot of people have him as their number 3. I like Spears out of who does he play? Michigan State, or is it I'm talking about the running back, Spears. I really like him. There's a lot of them, man. That's what I'm saying. We need to get out of the first round and just load up in the second, third, and fourth.
Glenn, man. Look for the small school guys. McClay loves those gyms. Look for there for gyms, and it's true, man. There's always somebody. I mean, we've got some guys, I think, in the wide receiver category that were like, you had flashes, but again, it doesn't always transition. No, you got to do it over and over again, almost every play. So when we got excited about guys that we had last year, Dixon, was it? What was it? I'm trying to remember the wide receiver that had the one-handed catch.
What, the big dude?
Yeah.
In the back of the end zone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Randy Stites was talking about him, blowing me up when I was in Dallas.
So everybody gets. Yeah, I was thinking with Dixon. I don't remember.
It's not Dixon, but it was a big dude. Help me out, people. But I have a question for everybody, and this is just, we're going to circle back because something's going to happen. What would you rather do? Would you rather have OBJ, all you have to give up is money,
IROC is Vasher.
Or do you want to make a trade for Diggs,
there it is,
Hopkins, Cooks, or Judy?
Okay, now everybody's talking
levels,
about. Now you're talking about trades. You're talking about trade. Because didn't Cooks just go sign to a new team? So I don't know why they would trade.
No, he's been with Houston, and at the trade deadline last year, Dallas made a call. They had a trade done for a number 2 this year, and then something happened with Houston about Dallas picking up or paying some of the money, whatever. But that's what was on the table. Now, I wouldn't give it 2. We're taking that contract off of you. I'll give you a 3rd round, just like Hopkins. I would give it 2 for Hopkins, but that's tough for me to do that. And obviously, I would give a 1 for Diggs. I would trade our 1 straight up for Stephon Diggs. Yeah, I wouldn't touch Judy, man.
Let me ask you a question.
Too much, and he hasn't done nothing in the league.
I'm not
a contract coming.
I'm not saying that this would happen. Okay, so I'm more referencing it to it. If you were to trade CeeDee Lamb right now, would you trade him for a 1?
And then some.
Thank you. That's exactly where Stephon Diggs is. He's not a 1. He's a 1 and a 1, a 1 and a 1 and a 2, and a 1 and a 1 and 3.
You have to pick up that contract.
Who cares? That's your shit. That's not my shit. You want this guy? He's a star.
No, but that's how it works. If you have to, now it would cost more than a 1 for Diggs, but it wouldn't be a much more. It might be a 1, and next year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Think about this now. If you were talking about trading up to get into that first round, to if you were to. Hey, I'm giving you my 1 that I would have picked on 26, and then giving you next year's 1 to move up to get that receiver. Why not give the 1-to-1 to get Stephon Diggs? That's what I'm talking about.
I would, but the difference is you would get a young guy if McClay had, and the scouting guys identified Jackson and Jibba out of Ohio State. As the guy. If they said he's the guy, then okay. Now we've already said he's the OBJ of this draft. That I keep going back to that because Dallas wanted OBJ. They tried to trade up for him. if their evaluation is that that's who he is, then you'll get him at a lot cheaper than you would a Diggs. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Diggs is getting, high market. That's high shelf right there. So
God, Robbie Anderson.
You tell me. I would like to go Diggs, but if we don't get Diggs, I'll go Hopkins. Outside of that, I really don't want to be bothered with those guys. Give me somebody young.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I love. Again, we're talking about trading. Gold, platinum, draft capital. It's something that Will McClay has done very well.
Hey, that's who you're talking about.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't. Because somebody was bringing him up that they would be happy with him. I was like, no, we're just Troy Hambrick all over again.
He's got a lot of mileage on him, man.
Yeah, he does. And it's running game, too. It's not like some of these other guys where you have some that are, he's been more involved in the passing game. Like Tony Pollard, when he came out of college, he wasn't a running back that was getting carries, going in between the tackles. That was a throwing school, so he was receiving a lot out of the backfield. So when he was, he wasn't going through linemen and linebackers. He was going through cornerbacks, and so the mileage is not on the tires as much, and so that's why you feel a little bit more comfortable giving him that contract. I don't mind the franchise tag too much, just because if you're just going to use him for the year and you're going to see where he's at, I don't want to pay long term. If you're getting a young guy now, you're bringing him
Robbie
up. That way
Anderson, don't say that, Iceberg Slim.
No, I saw that too.
No.
And so if you're pushing him aside, okay, now you go out and find your contract, and now we have our back, and now we're drafting again. I think you're setting yourself up, kind of like you did with the tight ends.
Right.
What was your tight ends behind Schultz? It wasn't anything until now. Schultz go off and do anything.
Exactly. I would love to get the tight end out of Georgia. I would love it, but you would have to. You wouldn't take him at 1, but he ain't gonna make it to you in 2. So
that's what I'm saying. You got to do the same Tyler Smith.
The situation, that's the only way you would get him, unless if you identified him as that guy, and your board is falling apart, and there's a couple high-rated guys that you don't like that don't fit into your scheme, then hey, do what you got to do. I'm looking at the outside of the first 2 guys. Obviously, you got Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs. Zach Charbonnet is number 3. Now, we both said we wouldn't want him. And then you have Devin A-Chain out of Texas A&M. I love him, but he reminds me of Pollard.
Yeah, you kind of want to get away from that. Yeah.
And then you got Dwayne McBride out of UAB. I'm not,
He's kind of like,
Tank Bigsby.
Okay. He's a receiving.
This is where, to me,
he's a
meat
receiving
of the running back. So we're talking, in the 80s and down. You got a Tank Bigsby, a Kendre Miller out of TCU, a Tajay Spears out of Tulane. Tulane's got a lot of players this year. And then you got Sean Tucker. You know who I really like? I like
Sean Tucker.
The other guy out of Texas, Roshan Johnson.
Slim. Exactly, Sean Tucker. That's the guy I like.
You could get these guys late. So this is why, and it's not fun. We're going to the draft. It ain't sexy, but I wouldn't mind trading out. I really wouldn't mind trading out. There's nobody really there that I have to have.
I want to see who's there. If somebody drops, and then, I'm all for the trading out, trying to get more capital. See what you can land on. I mean, think about the whole. Again, I love when I look back at the whole Parsons pick, the fact that we were able to trade back, get Parsons still, and then be able to get what's his name, Golston later on in that draft. So I mean, it definitely a piece that hopefully, and that guy got big. So you're just hoping now that he has that how big he is. He's learning this past year how to make some of those moves. So I'm interested to see where his development goes as well too.
Yeah, exactly. But my main thing is we need to get one of these receivers. And Iceberg brings up DJ Chark. What do you think about him? There's something exciting about not having to give up a pick. Looking at all the names I'm looking at right now. But
is he better than what's on the roster? I think he's better than some people on the roster, so I would not be against it.
But he's not. To me, he wouldn't be a number 2.
No, and I think that's what you need. That's what you're missing right now. You got Gallup that could be easily a 3. You got a lot of guys that can play that slot, whether it's Tolbert or whether it's Fehoko. I mean, I'm not saying Fehoko is going to be the answer. I'm not saying that at all. But you need that number 2.
Step
you
up
need
or step out at this point.
Yeah,
Semi.
And it can't be the little guys. I mean, I love Turpin, but I don't. Unless you're really finding something to use him for.
At, man. Yeah. I mean, and you brought up Turpin. I'm looking at these receivers. Nathaniel Dell. He's
a weapon, but yeah, he's
5'10", 165, and he's a junior. But he's an unbelievable player, but he's 5'10". And then you go to the next, like you brought up, Michael Wilson. He's the one guy who's 6'2".
Yeah, he's a
out
big
of
dude.
Stanford. Now we got a Stanford guy that we're not playing, which is funny. Who's 6'4" and is probably faster than this guy, but he can't get on the field.
Yeah.
But then you go down, like I really like Rashee Rice, but a Tyler Scott is really short. Not really short, but he's under 6 foot. A Parker Washington is under 6 foot. It just goes on and on. I've never seen the draft.
What about Memes? Marvin Memes.
There's so many smaller guys.
Marvin Memes is one of those guys you don't know if he's going to be a star. He could get lost and kind of
Marvin Mims. I like him at Oklahoma.
Yeah, so he's a heck of a weapon, but there's a lot of things that he does that you're wondering, will he be successful in the NFL if he doesn't develop his game? I think he can be lost, but I think he's a really good weapon as well. I really like him, so I think there's some receivers there. It's kind of one of those things we all understand. Receivers in the first round typically aren't the greatest receivers,
exactly.
But the second round, so on, those are the guys that don't have that pressure on them. And, CeeDee Lamb, I mean, he had that pressure, whether he was playing for America's team or that fact that he was a first-round draft pick that was slipping. He had to step up. You saw him do that this year, and so you're hoping that you're seeing some of that from these young guys. I mean, whether it's even on the defense, whether Jabril Cox, I really want to see him more active, whether it's in the preseason. Just get him out there. I want to see him moving. I want to see if he reacts well. I want to see what is stopping him from getting on the field. You can't tell me that it was the, Now, if you're telling me that a guy like Frank Clark is holding him up, I'd be okay with that because Clark is a machine.
He is a machine.
Yeah, you see him hit that. He's very good at picking out what's going on. He moves well within that line, so he's there when the running back comes around the corner. So I mean, that is a heck of a diamond in the rough right there. Again, a 5th-round draft pick at LSU. I mean, he's right there. Everybody kind of sees him. Nobody kind of swung the neck thing, and hey, good thing for this medical staff. You're seeing these problems that people are concerned about, and you're kind of going, no, we're kind of used to that. No, we did that with LVE. He's going to be fine. So, I love the camaraderie when it comes to this part of it, the draft part, where the scouting and those guys, they're doing their homework. So you're seeing these guys, like they said in the chat, you're seeing some guys that come in that you're not expecting anybody from a Louisiana Tech to come in here, and then all of a sudden we got Xavier Woods that people are going, hey, why didn't you re-sign him? And then he doesn't do as great for Minnesota, right. But he was a little bit of a star. So I'm interested in the draft. Obviously, I love the draft. I love these young guys coming through. The people that you expect to be so high, and then not living up to it. So, when you look at the front of this draft, let's go on to another subject as well, too. Let's go into the NFL because we're talking about free agents and everything. What do you think about the whole Aaron Rodgers thing?
Aaron Rodgers, well, you know what's going on here. He's
Mark.
I like Aaron Rodgers in New York. I'm curious to see how he's going to do outside of Green Bay. I think we all know how it's going to end, but I think he's a little overrated. I think people have I think Aaron has a higher view of himself than what it really is. He hasn't come up big over the last recent years. He's only won one Super Bowl, and it so happened to be with our current head coach. And he butted heads with him because our current head coach wanted to run the ball more, and he wanted to throw. How does that work out for Aaron lately? Yeah. So Green Bay's trying to bail, but Green Bay's holding out for a certain
they want to get some compensation. I totally understand. when I look at the whole thing, I was on the side of the fence where I was talking about, well, Green Bay hasn't gotten him any weapons. They haven't gone to the first round and gotten a wide receiver, and they haven't done this and they haven't done that to get him a running, any of that stuff. But then when you see him going to the Jets and he's saying, okay, you need to get me Lazard and you need to get me Cobbs, and well, these are all the guys that you were playing with in Green Bay. So obviously you were getting weapons if you're trying to take those weapons and move them over here. So you can't use that excuse. So he's constantly contradicting himself, whether he's like, I'm not here to say what I'm doing, but then a second later he tells them exactly what he's doing. So you're seeing it within him. He reminds me so much of Brett Favre. I'm going to retire. I'm not going to retire. I want to be traded. It's just the drama that's going on. I don't know if it's something in the water up there. Does he have the same apartment that Brett had, and there's something in the wall? You need to check for some mold or something like that because his brain's. I don't know, man. Like there's something there. It just reminds me too much of what Brett Favre was doing right before he left as well too. So and it happens to be the Jets, the same one. I don't know. It's like I'm invested in the color green. So. But they're going out. They're even going for Odell. Good luck with it. They may have, because they want Aaron so badly, they may pay him that money that he's demanding. So I think that's always a possibility of somewhere where he could go. And does it scare the league? Yeah, I don't get scared. I mean, it's again the people have said that there's certain teams like Detroit and Cleveland, and the Jets are one of them where I don't really ever see them as a threat. They may be amazing a couple of years, but are they ever really a threat? So you got a lot of teams over there, whether it's even Jacksonville coming up, Kansas City, you got Cincinnati, so there's a lot of teams that they have to go through that have already developed. I mean, you got Kansas City going out and signing a left tackle.
Crazy, isn't it? That just goes to show you can do anything you want if you want it bad enough.
Yeah.
There's nothing holding you back. Mark Hutchin asked us about Mims. We just talked about him, Mark, but we both like him.
I like him. I think he's a weapon if he's in the right offense. I think the West Coast offense would be exactly down his. Again, I think that the thing around him is whether he's going to be able to transition, because what he's doing in college is not what he's going to be able to do in the NFL. He's going to need to use skill.
5'11", 184. He's a junior coming out of Oklahoma. I really like the guy.
I went into the darkness, yeah. Sorry, Brooke the Jones. I'm laughing, sorry. That's rich man problem.
I need to go into the darkness,
that's first world.
For a few days.
That's first world problems. The top 1% that gets, I went and turn off the lights, and man, you could do that at home, dude. Like you went and paid somebody to go sit in the dark somewhere, because you don't have anything to spend your money on, dude. It's just, and then some of the stuff that he gets upset with in Green Bay, you're going to go to a media capital, for example, in New York. That's just going to eat you up, and you're going to get irritated like hell. It's just funny because all the stuff that he's talking about he doesn't want, he's turning around and causing, or he's doing himself. So it's very frustrating, but it's also entertaining. So you're kind of I hate to say it, but you remember how George Bush was when he was talking, and you were like, just the entertaining stuff that comes out of his mouth. That's kind of the same thing that I feel with Aaron. It's just like, what crazy shit is this guy going to talk about now?
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, in Glimmerman's right. He's talking to Twiz, talking to Glimmerman, talking about how we had a fan base that's divided. Well, that's the problem when you have America's team. They're divided on every single position. You got people that love. You talk about our running backs. I mean, Bryan and I, we were talking about how you should let Tony Pollard test free agency and see what he gets, and they kind of, don't jump on there. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we don't love Tony. We just know that, hey, man, this is a whole market thing, and you kind of have to ride the wave. But they're very quick. They're very quick to jump on that grenade there, and so no matter what, you're going to have half the fan base that loves the move, and you got the other half of the fan base that are like, what are we doing? But I think a lot of us have been able to agree with some of these moves that we've been able to bring back. Whether it's Wilson, I think we were talking about Wilson like crazy. He's a big piece of this defense. So yeah, lose my number. Yeah, that's Aaron. So yeah, a lot of crazy stuff when it comes to Aaron Rodgers as well. So I mean, there's a lot of weapons over there. I mean, Wilson, he would make Wilson a very very good wide receiver. It's just funny that all these moves that the Jets are making. What happens if there's no trade that comes out of it? So does he have a no trade thing where he has control of where he gets traded to?
Who's that?
Aaron.
I'm curious. No, but if he could say I don't want to play, that's basically
I'm gonna retire.
He has to be on board with it, You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of news. There's a lot of guys flipping around. I mean, you saw. I was talking to a guy from that is a big fan with Buffalo, and so he was talking about his safety Poyer that was leaving, and I was like, "Are you sure he's leaving?" And then I saw Miami. Miami's thing was like, "Oh, we're going to be signing him."
He's back,
and then he signed right back with the Bills, and I was like, "Okay, I'm not really surprised there." Edmonds obviously leaves to go Chicago, so I mean they're losing some pieces as well, but they get not Connor Williams. Might as well be, right? Connor McGovern goes over there and signs, was it a three-year contract, right?
3 year, yeah. They must have liked Connor McGovern. They said, and I actually applaud a team who looks at a guy and go, he's the guy we want. He'll fit in our system. Connor McGovern may not have been on everybody's radar, but
we knew he was going to be starting
somewhere. He goes there and he plays well, and that's fine. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with that. I give him credit for earmarking a guy like that and going and getting the job done. So,
yeah. So when we're looking at the teams within the division, you're seeing a lot of stuff like the New York Giants are running out of money. You paid a lot of your own players to come back. You're resting off the fact that you're going to be better. Again, last year I kind of feel that was more of a lucky year. You were supposed to be in the steps of rebuilding, and you guys pulled something out of your ass, and great for you. but now you're screwed, kind of like with the set, because now you're picking later in the draft, where you were picking very early, so you were able to get a lot of pieces there. But then, we were talking about that this offseason. You're going to have to pay your quarterback. You're going to have to pay, so here it is. They paid the quarterback. Are you excited about the fact that they paid Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones, man. I'm sorry. That was way too much to give up for Daniel Jones.
and I agree. I mean, that right there. So, I mean, it kind of just sticks them like, okay, now you have to stick with Daniel Jones for the next couple of years. And so I get excited like that. I get excited about that move. What do you think's going to happen on the other side? You've been mentioning a lot about Philadelphia. We'll talk for Twiz here.
Let's go, Twiz. This is for you, my man.
Do you think they're going to end up, what's going on with Jalen Hurts? Why isn't he re-signed,
Well, they don't have much money right now, so I think the re-signing of Darius Slay is the end of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I don't see it being, unless that Hurts isn't going to sign his new deal. But is he up or is he not up? Do you know?
Thank you. My last login. What's that? Who? I'm sorry, I was checking.
Hurts. Is Hurts up?
Yeah, well, in the sense that he should be he should be getting a contract, right? I mean, I thought his contract ended unless there was an option whole thing. I thought that was his 5th year already. I could be wrong.
My last login. Good show, guys. At work hearing. Thanks, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles are basically done. Other than they'll probably lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They're not going to be able to bring back any of the depth on the defensive line that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, they brought back Slay, and they re-signed mediocre Bradbury. No
contract.
Offense to his, but he's good. He played good last year. I would have rather have seen them get rid of Slay, let Slay go. But the problem was, Phil, they weren't going to save a lot of money by letting him go. So both sides got together. So now I wonder, are you still going to take a corner with the number 10 pick? Twiz is saying they could drop back from 10. I don't see that. I think they stick there. And but I mean, he could be right. They could drop down into the teens to pick up more picks. They could. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. But their depth is severely limited at this point.
Well, I mean, the ones that they have picked up, they picked up Penny, the running back. Let Sanders go.
He's always hurt, though.
Yep, I agree. I
keep hearing about yards per carry and this and that metric. The man hasn't finished the season yet. I'm happy to have to go against Penny as opposed to going against the running backs that you let go.
Yeah.
They were scary.
Yeah, but they weren't getting the ball enough. I think that's so they're pretty fresh going into their
It don't matter who it is, I guess, if your quarterback's going to run.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. So, I mean, I'm a little curious what happens there. I mean, they even got They got Mariota for a 1-year contract, so you saw Minshew kind of go to the Colts.
That was a good deal.
That was a good deal. He's a good, solid backup. I think he's a very good backup. So it's interesting because we knew that the cap was going to be really, really hard on them. They, whether they're going to open up some things. They brought a lot of pieces back. But again, I'm interested to see what happens there at the quarterback position, especially when you gotta restructure some deals. You got to see what's going on here. So again, I haven't heard anything, so I was just more curious. So I didn't know if there was I thought going into this offseason that there was they had to re-sign, but maybe I could be wrong. So maybe somebody could let me know. But again, let's go to the next one. I mean, you have Washington, for example. You have the threat of Jacoby Brissett. Going in there, is there we thought a possibility that there might be a guy like Lamar Jackson if they're willing to give up some capital. Do you think
Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree.
I feel bad for him, man, but his mother's killing him. His mother is killing him. I heard
the agent, right?
Who was? Oh, I was listening to Mike Lombardi, who's very knowledgeable. Lamar Jackson's mom is basically acting as his agent. Now, what's going on is Lamar needs to understand, maybe take a page out of the Kirk Cousins book. They offered him a 3-year, fully guaranteed deal at like $130 million. You should have taken that and ran.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. In 3 years, that will allow you to hit this 2 more times before, hypothetically, 2 more times before you're done playing.
Yeah.
You're dipping back into that major money. The price for quarterbacks is only going to continue to rise.
Man,
Why he didn't take that deal, he's a fool. God forbid he gets into a car accident or something stupid and he's done. You just wasted it. I don't know what you're doing, bro, but your mother is killing you. You should have taken that. Take a 3-year deal. You could dip it, go into free agent pool again after that. You're still very, very young. And then possibly again.
Okay.
Makes no sense to me, man. None.
Yeah, so Twist is saying that we're going to get it done, hoping a 10-year, 450, $250 guarantee. 10-year, that'd be great because obviously he was kind of showing some wear and tear by getting all those hits. Are you going to be able to run him more, past 3 years? Yeah. So, I mean, I think that would be a huge mistake, but again, he has.
I think you'll find a deal similar to Dax, but with more money, where you put a couple void years in there, and
I think
he's going to make over $50 million. The cap hit for the first year will be somewhere in the 20s, and then rise significantly after that. So.
Yeah, so we're also watching the rest of the division, seeing how they're improving, seeing what they have to let go. There's some pieces that everybody has to let go eventually because obviously they outgrow your team or your cap, and you're paying other people, your stars, and so that's where we lose guys. I mean, we saw that with Ron Leary, for example. We had him in the offensive line. It was a great piece there, but then we had to give it up because we were paying everybody else on the offensive line, and so that's where you're seeing. I mean, the whole Tyron Smith contract, Zach Martin's contract. I think that's the one guy I can say is totally worth the money. Zach Martin. I don't get concerned when I see him get restructured. Oh, they're just kicking the can down the road. Like, well, kick that damn can. I don't really care.
I was surprised that they restructured D-Law.
I was surprised by that too.
I think they're really going to try and re-sign one of their big two. Yeah, whether it's I think it's going to be CeeDee Lamb. I think that's who they're going to go after first. I think he'll be easier to sign than Diggs. Maybe we'll trade for his brother, and then makes it that much easier to re-sign him. But we'll see. We'll be there, man. That'd be awesome if they made a trade in the draft.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is injury prone, is what Mark Hutchins is saying, and there it is. I mean, because he's always running. It's just,
he is, but
he's
man,
an amazing
if he went
runner.
To, like a team like Detroit. Man, that would be exciting to watch. I think that would be a great
put Detroit on the map.
I mean, Detroit's just piling up the talent.
Yeah, that is true. It's just, again, you need somebody that's going to lead you, and it's Jared Goff, that guy. Oh man, I love that linebacker, but he got hurt last year, so you kind of worry a little bit. Did. So, but yeah, I mean, there's so many moves, so many things happening within the whole NFL. Again, we're making moves. I think that's what's surprising is whether it's our own guys, they would have tested free agency. So hey, we're getting out there. We're getting those free agents, but of course there already are guys. So I'm interested to see who else we actually bring in. Are we bringing anybody else before the draft? Are we over, or is it just going to be rumors from now on? I'm just interested. Again, tomorrow, by the time tomorrow happens, maybe another big move happens, and now we're not talking about receiver anymore. So, we can just get best player available. Maybe we get defensive interior. Maybe we get some depth in that offensive line. There's so many options when you can fill that role, and again, we're not done, are we, Brian?
We're not done yet. No. We're just getting started.
I like it. So anything you want to cover before we get out of here? We've been going for about an hour and 17 minutes. I think
we're good, man. We're at an hour and 17 minutes. I can't believe that we were able to go this long because we really didn't have a lot to talk about other than some of the moves. We didn't sit there and talk about what we were going to speak about. But,
I got long-winded.
Yeah, man. I expect something to happen. I don't think we're going to wait on the receiver thing. I think Dallas did all this moves. I think we're going to resign one of our big guys. I think they would like to address their receiver in one way or another. If OBJ is going to play this game where he's going to drag this out and he's going to put his foot in the sand, he's going to lose.
Yeah, he is.
Because he's going to end up with a shit deal with a team that he doesn't want to be.
What's going on, Mark? How you doing?
Hey, there he is. What up, Mark?
Mark's Holmes in the chat. I need to get some kind of little audio there.
Did you talk to Embassy Suites?
Oh man, we're getting excited. It's coming around, man.
Did you talk to Suites? Probably not. He's probably not.
Joe, what's
They're all
going
gonna
on,
be sold out. I'll be in a hotel.
A little teepee in the outside, yeah. Draft. Exactly.
I'll be living in a van down by the river.
No, but again, the offseason going well. I'm liking the moves that we're doing. Even something as simple as Cooper Rush. At least we're not 2-year $10 million. No, I like the $2 million, with some 2 years $6 million. The incentives is what pushes it up to $6 million. We're getting a little bit smarter. We're not insulting too many people when we're offering them stuff. So I like the maturity that you're seeing within the front office. We're going to make some moves. We love our own guys, which they're proven, but we're going to do a little bit of a splash. So I'm hoping, again, I'm with Twiz when he's saying, is that move for Gilly Lock, is he the guy that we're going for? And that was the big move. Hey, if that's the biggest move that they do, at least it's a move that I can respect. It's not somebody that we're bringing in here and bandaging something up. We needed somebody to take Anthony Brown's spot, and this guy can definitely do a lot better than what Anthony Brown was doing. And so I think that's what you got to remember. When people are going to talk that trash about him, remember, is he better? He's not going to do is he better than Anthony Brown? I think a lot of guys can definitely improve there, and I like the move.
Bye, Brown. Bye. Oh, sorry. Yeah, he's gone. Sorry, man.
But anyways, Brian, I appreciate you coming through. Appreciate you talking Cowboys, even talking crazy-ass Aaron Rodgers. But again, I appreciate you guys coming through with the chat, giving us your opinions. We're excited about the offseason. At least there's news. We're not just sitting here talking about what is going on. I remember last year, you go back to last year, it was very frustrating. I was frustrated. We knew going into the offseason, he told us, hey, we're not going to do much other than our own guys. We still got frustrated when they didn't do anything. They did say they're going to do some stuff. It's going to be a little different this offseason, and right off the bat, it has been, even to the releasing of Ezekiel Elliott. Removes, that we're pushing to the side where we would just been loyal and kind of just let this thing linger. I'm glad that we did something. So, Brian, anything you want to say to the chat before we get out of here?
Nah, man, stay tuned. Me and Phil, we keep saying it, but we might hop on, do some mock drafts, one of these nights, But no, man, I think we're good to go. Expect some more moves by our Cowboys. To Twiz, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Jalen Hurts. check me out on GameTime Bryan on Twitter and my YouTube channel. And let's go. Go Cowboys.
Yeah, make sure you tune into Mark as we're jumping on there constantly. We're not on every video because obviously Mark lives that real world life.
Point counterpoint. Me and Mark Holmes be there.
Yeah, Bryan is making his way through the Cowboy YouTube channels, and I like it, man. You're getting out there, and there's a lot of people. We were talking to a guy that has a Canadian channel that's also on YouTube. He didn't pop in, but that's okay. We were subscribing. I'm listening to some of his stuff. So I mean, there's definitely we're getting out there, man, and we're gonna bring some people in through this off season. We're gonna see Stacy in here. We're gonna get some women's opinion about what the Cowboys are doing as well. So hey,
I gotta get with Mark and see what we need when we go out there on the road, because I was just thinking today if I want to go live or you want to go live.
Right now, I'm just thinking about recording at least.
We gotta figure that out, man. We don't have the mobile.
No. This is all a last minute thing. Yeah, exactly. So, but anyways, thank you guys for coming through. Thank you for sharing, rewatching. Give us a comment with what you think about this offseason. What do you think about what the Cowboys are doing? Are you excited? Are you just like, hey, it doesn't matter? Are you one of those guys, a little bit Debbie Downer, where you're like, hey, it doesn't matter what we're doing, we're not going to do anything anyway? You know, I want to know. I want to know what kind of Cowboy fan you are and what you think is going to happen, so we can look back and go, hey, man, you were right about that pick. But I appreciate everything. But one thing that I do appreciate is to never forget what? To ring that bell.
Ring that bell.
All right, guys. Peace out, guys.
Hey! We know each other. He's a friend from work.
What you do, you're like a little screw loose type of guy, and that's how I am. So I'm digging it, big guy. I am.
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Just answer the damn questions. Who are you?
GameTime Bryan, otherwise known as the mailman here.
Cool name. Superpowers?
Broadcasting from the illustrious Jobu Studio.
Come on, are you going to tell me who that is?
Primetime Phil. And of course, my co-host, GameTime Bryan.
Oh, Jesus Christ, this place is going to explode. $100,000. I don't even need to hear it.